The riverbank was quiet most mornings, and Rowan the heron liked it that way. He stood tall and still, watching the water move without needing to interfere. The other animals knew him as careful and soft-spoken. When asked for advice, he listened longer than he spoke. When conflicts arose, he kept to himself, believing that calm patience prevented harm. In a place where noise often became trouble, Rowan thought silence was kindness. The marsh was governed loosely by custom rather than law. The otters controlled fishing spots. The frogs spread news, and the crows watched everything from above. Words traveled faster than water, and once they began moving, they were difficult to stop. Rowan avoided the chatter. He believed that truth survived best when it was not forced to defend itself. One afternoon, a young duckling came to Rowan trembling. She said the otters had claimed more river than before, pushing smaller birds away. She asked if Rowan had seen it too. He had. He had watched the otters stretch their borders, not with violence, but with quiet pressure. Rowan hesitated, then answered honestly. He said the river belonged to no one, and that pushing others aside would only bring resentment. It was a simple thought, spoken gently, and meant for no one else to hear. But a frog nearby had been listening. By dusk, the story had changed. The frogs croaked that Rowan accused the otters of stealing. The crows repeated it from branch to branch, adding sharp edges. By nightfall, the marsh buzzed with the claim that Rowan was stirring rebellion. No one came to ask him what he meant. No one asked if it was true. It felt easier to accept the version that fit existing envy. The otters heard last. They were proud and easily wounded. They had worked hard to gain influence, and any challenge felt like betrayal. Without confronting Rowan, they tightened their grip on the river. Fishing spots near the heron's roost were blocked. Fish vanished. Silence settled around Rowan like cold fog. Days passed. Rowan grew thinner. Still, he said nothing. He believed the noise would pass. He believed that those who knew him would remember his nature. But memory is fragile when repeated lies grow louder. The frogs avoided him. The ducks stopped landing nearby. Even the crows watched with judgment instead of curiosity. When a fish shortage struck the marsh, fear needed a cause. The frogs blamed Rowan's complaints. The otters said his words had unsettled the balance. The crows claimed they had warned everyone. Rowan became a convenient center for shared anger. His single sentence, bent and twisted, now carried weight it never had. At last, Rowan was summoned before the river's edge. The otters spoke for the marsh. They said he had spread distrust and weakened unity. Rowan tried to explain. He spoke slowly, choosing each word with care. But his voice sounded small against so many ready minds. Every sentence was interrupted by remembered rumors. His truth arrived too late and too gently to survive. The decision was made without cruelty, only certainty. Rowan was told to leave the marsh until trust returned. No one said how long that would take. Exile sounded reasonable when spoken calmly. Rowan lifted himself into the air at dawn. The river shimmered beneath him, familiar and unreachable. He flew until his wings ached and the land grew dry. The new waters were shallow and crowded with birds who did not know him and did not care. Fish were scarce. Rest was dangerous. Weeks passed. then months. One evening, exhausted and weak, Rowan stood by a cracked pond. The water barely moved. As he leaned forward, his reflection looked thinner than he remembered. He thought of the sentence he had spoken and how much it had grown without him. When he bent to drink, his legs failed. The pond closed over him quietly. Back at the marsh, the river flowed as it always had. The otters kept their territory. The frogs found new stories. The crows watched something else. Only when the fish pattern shifted did a few animals remember the heron who used to stand still and say little. By then, there was nothing left to correct. Let this be a warning to the audience. Words do not need malice to destroy. Only careless ears and willing mouths. Silence does not always protect the innocent. And when truth is delayed, lies learn to walk on their own.